Here is the situation in Vietnam as of November 20th, 2025. With 46 people now confirmed dead or missing, authorities are issuing urgent warnings of rising water levels on the Khanh Hoa rivers, expected to worsen overnight. The flooding situation in the central region is intensifying as a series of rivers break their previous water level records. Swelling floodwaters have already engulfed thousands of homes across the affected zones. Tens of thousands of people have been displaced and forced to evacuate, while initial damage assessments are still pending. In the Central Highlands provinces, the combined impact of floods and landslides has resulted in 46 fatalities or missing persons to date. Regarding property, the destruction is immense, with 146 houses damaged and 52,056 homes flooded. In addition, the agricultural sector has been devastated, with over 13,000 hectares of rice, flowers, and vegetables lost. Furthermore, more than 2,100 hectares of perennial crops have been damaged, while nearly 40,000 cattle and poultry have perished or been swept away. The aquaculture industry was not spared, as 88 hectares of lobster farms also sustained considerable damage. According to a bulletin issued on November 20th by the Hydrometeorological station in Khanh Hoa province, over the past 24 hours, from 11 a.m. on November 19th to 11 a.m. on November 20th, the province has endured continuous heavy to torrential rainfall, with numerous areas documenting exceptionally high levels of precipitation. Rain gauge stations recorded staggering amounts of rainfall, such as in Towson with 315.9 millimeters, Sun Tai with 359.4 millimeters, and Dillon with 472.3 millimeters. Other severely affected locations include Van Binh, which registered 349.9 millimeters, and the Howison Lake area, which received an astonishing 634 millimeters. The meteorological agency has warned that 32 communes and wards in the province face an imminent risk of flooding. The flooding is anticipated to spread further and become more severe throughout the afternoon and night of November 20th. Flood depths are forecast to reach between 1 and 2.5 meters, while low-lying areas could experience inundation levels greater than 3.5 meters. In response to the crisis today, the Minister of Finance has authorized an emergency issuance of rice from the National Reserve to the People's Committees of Khanh Hoa and GLI provinces. Accordingly, the Ministry of Finance has instructed the State Reserve Department to allocate 2,000 tons of rice to Khanh Hoa province and 2,000 tons to GLI province for immediate support to flood-affected communities. Meanwhile, the National Center for Hydrometeorological Forecasting has just issued an advisory for the next 3 to 6 hours, indicating that provinces and cities from Da Nang to Lam Dong will continue to experience rain with significant accumulation. This rainfall is expected to range from 20 to 50 millimeters, with some locations potentially receiving over 100 millimeters. Over the next 6 hours, there is a significant risk of flash flooding in small rivers and streams, along with landslides on slopes throughout many communes and wards. Soil moisture models indicate that some areas in the aforementioned provinces are nearly saturated, exceeding 85%, or have already reached a fully saturated state. The warning level for natural disaster risk due to flash floods, landslides, and land subsidence from rain, floods, or water flow in Konaha is at level 2, while in Daklak it is at level 3. The center also cautioned that flash floods and landslides can have severely negative impacts on the environment, threatening the lives of residents and causing localized traffic congestion, thereby affecting the general movement of vehicles, destroying civil and economic infrastructure, and causing damage to production and overall socio-economic activities. According to this unit, from 1 p.m. on November 19th to 1 p.m. on November 20th, the provinces and cities from Dak Nong to Lam Dong experienced heavy to very heavy rainfall, with Newtown recording 151.6 millimeters and the Noun Sawin area receiving 136.2 millimeters. Quang Nai's home, I Thuan, saw 237.6 millimeters. Golikukroa measured 390.8 millimeters. And Daklak Swai Song House Sun recorded a massive 637.6 millimeters, while Khanh Hoa received 210.6 millimeters, with significant rainfall also in Lam Dong. Meanwhile, in the city of Nha Trang, the water level on the Khai River is projected to continue rising tonight and into the early morning hours. At noon on November 20th, the Khanh Hoa Province Hydrological Station issued a forecast detailing the hydrological situation for the next 24 hours. Accordingly, over the next 24 hours, on the Din Ninh Hoa River, the floodwaters are expected to continue rising and will peak around noon this afternoon, after which they will slowly decrease but remain at a high level. On the Khai Nha Trang River, within the next 6 hours, the flood is expected to slowly recede to alert level 3. It is then forecast to rise again tonight and into early tomorrow morning. On the Khai Phan Rang River, the flood has subsided to below alert, level 1. However, the downstream flood has been receding slowly. Currently remaining between alert level 1 and 2, there is a continued possibility of dangerous hydrological phenomena, such as widespread floods, sudden flash floods, and resulting landslides. According to this agency, within the past 24 hours, the flood on the Din Ninh Ho River has been rising steadily and has now surpassed historical flood levels. In the upper reaches of the Khai Nha Trang River, the Khai Phan Rang River, and the Lu River, the flood has already crested and is now slowly beginning to decrease as floodwaters continue to swell in the lower river basins. Lam Dong authorities have proposed that hydropower plants coordinate flood mitigation efforts and assist in evacuating residents from downstream areas. Officials from the Lam Dong Province's Department of Agriculture and Environment reported that due to widespread heavy rainfall, particularly in the upstream regions of Don Duong, which feed the Da Nim and Dai Ninh hydropower reservoirs, the department was compelled to issue an urgent directive. It called upon hydropower facilities along the Dong Nai River system to synchronize their operations to help reduce the flooding. This coordinated effort is aimed at safeguarding the communities located in downstream areas. Reports indicated that at 11 o'clock in the evening on November 19th, the water level at Da Nim Lake had surpassed its normal threshold of 1,042 meters, climbing to an elevation of 1,043.088 meters. The inflow rate into the lake was recorded at 2,111 cubic meters per second and surged to as high as 2,580 cubic meters per second, all while the discharge through the spillway was only 1,400 cubic meters per second. Just an hour later, by midnight, the lake's water level had risen further to 1,043.2 meters, reaching the critical reinforcement level for the dam. This was a direct result of the relentless and heavy rainfall in the upstream areas confronted with this escalating crisis. The Da Nim Ham Thuan Da Mi Hydropower Company announced it would increase the flood discharge from the Don Duong Reservoir's spillway to match the inflow rate. The Department of Agriculture and Environment urged the Da Nim, Trung Nam, Dong Nai, and Dong Nai 5 hydropower companies to coordinate their operations flexibly, utilizing their reservoir capacity above normal levels to absorb the flood peak and mitigate the impact downstream along the Dong Nai River. Meanwhile, residents took to social media, issuing continuous pleas for help as the water levels rose with alarming speed, trapping numerous families in their homes amidst what was described as extremely severe flooding. In response, rescue teams were battling to access the most heavily inundated areas